It's the end of Me Made May, and I thought I would sneak in 4 patterns for one today with my one pattern many ways. And I am going to show you the Wilder gown by Friday Pattern Company. Version 1. Version 1. So this is my Merchant & Mills Garden Slate linen version of the Wilder gown, and it is a full-length gown, and I brought the bottom tier down a little bit to sort of elongate the rest of the dress, and I love how long and well drapey and flowy this gown is. The other changes that I made for this version is to add some elastic into the waistband. So for this, it just was a little bit too loose, and I love to do a little bit of cinching around the waist. I really don't like belts, but I do like a little bit of waist definition. So one of my tricks is to sew some elastic into the existing seam allowance. All I did was create a little elastic casing within the seam allowance and just feed a little bit of elastic in there, and I think it just gives it that sort of really nice, just really soft shaping. And I've got Liberty of London inside for my pockets as a contrast, and this is version 1. And this is version 2. This is a rayon Ruby Star print by Rashida Coleman Hale. And I love the top version as well as the gown version, but it is just a really sort of dressy but casual but very comfortable top, and no changes to this version. And this is version 2. Hello, this is version 3. This version is also a Ruby Star fabric. This is one of the Alexia Abeg's woven fabrics, and it's got like just a little textured lavender fleck in the fabric. And so this is basically as is. The one little change that I made to this version is I did a little bit of elastic shirring. Again, this is just one of those little extra details that I'll add sometimes to a pattern. It's kind of just a softer cuff, so just to kind of create a little bit more of sort of a bit of gather and a little bit of blousiness to the sleeves, and I love that it just makes it feel a little bit more elevated. Always got a thread hanging off me. Oh dear. I'm wearing these 2 tops paired with my Lander pants in Everyday Chambray, which is just literally, the term is so accurate because I literally could wear these pants every day because they go with absolutely everything. So it's kind of nice because they're just a little bit fancier than a pair of jeans, but they're also a little bit more comfortable than a pair of jeans in the way that you know, they're not like form-fitting, they're just kind of a loose but very dressy, and I just really love this silhouette of the Lander pants so much. So I'm looking forward to making the Merchant & Mills Quinn pant, which I think has sort of a similar vibe, but I think it'll be nice to switch it up a little bit. I love my Landers, but I'm looking forward to adding some other pant silhouettes into my wardrobe. So this is version 3. And this is version 4. This, I saved the best for last. This is one of my favorite dresses. I just thought so much about every detail in this dress, and this is the ABC linen from Merchant & Mills. So this version of the Wilder gown is made with Merchant & Mills ABC linen, and it's a beautiful heavy linen. So I love that this is just a lot of fabric and you can kind of feel the weight of the dress. This particular dress, because of the stripy pattern on this, and because the stripes changed color, I really spent a lot of time thinking about all of the details of this and how I was going to place the colors, the stripes, and how things were going to line up. And so I'll walk you through my thought process for this dress. Firstly, I wanted to have the pink as sort of the central color. So you'll notice that the pink stripes kind of run all the way down the front. They also run down into the bottom tier. The bottom tier is dropped down lower, just like the garden slate version that I showed earlier. And for this version here, I had the pink in the center, and then it sort of goes into the blue. And for this version, because of all of the pattern matching, I wasn't able to put pockets on this version because there is not meant to be a side seam for this pattern. So the fabric just kind of like goes all the way around, and there is no side seam. So, and because of all of the pattern matching, I didn't want to mess with that. So this particular dress, and there's not many dresses that I have, does not have pockets. So that's unusual for me. So then the other thing you'll notice, so the blue ends up being on the left side here, and then the yellow ends up being on the right side here. And then what I did for the ties is I sort of reversed that so that there was a bit of contrast. So I made sure that the blue stripe was on the right side, the yellow stripe was on the left side, and then I also cut it so that the stripes on the ties were going horizontal just to contrast against the vertical stripe. So I did that. And then you'll notice that again, I ended up with yellow on both of the sleeves fronts, and they're mirror images of each other. But I also did pattern match so that on the seam connecting the sleeves, the pink goes into the yellow, and so those are pattern matched as best as I could across to the back. So just like the garden slate version, I did add elastic, and so I basically just used the seam allowance at the waist and basically tuck in a piece of elastic. I have a little trick for that, and let me know if you want me to show you that. But it's just, again, just having a little bit of shaping at the waist I think just looks nice. I don't really love belts, but I do like to have sort of a shaped waist feature, so I oftentimes will do something that will just add a little bit of nice shaping just softly into a pattern if I can. So that a little bit of elastic is one of my tricks. Sometimes I'll use shirring, which I used on the sleeves of that earlier version. So a bit of shirring around the waist or in the back can kind of cinch a pattern a little bit. And then earlier in the month I showed a little trick where I put inside some twill tape and created a little bit of a tie on a very loose collie dress. I did want to show you also one of the other little secret features of this dress, which I invented. I was wearing this dress, I made this dress basically in the middle of the pandemic when I had literally nowhere to wear a gown like this, but I felt that making something that was this beautiful and this cheerful would just make me happy, and the only place that I was going was to the workroom, and I would wear this dress to the shop to work in the empty store, picking orders and cutting orders, and it just made me feel really good, and I just love sort of the swish of a longer dress. But one of the things was that at that time I was not taking public transit. I was riding my bike to work every day, and so in order to be able to ride my bike and wear a long gown, I had to come up with a little solution. So my solution was, let's see if I can find them. So just inside the very bottom of the seam allowance, again, handy twill tape, I just sewed a little loop of twill tape on one side of the bottom tier and then on the other side. And so what I did with that is I would then sort of use the ties, existing ties, to basically cinch up and tie. And so I would just tie this like that, and then I would grab the other one and tie this like this. And so that would just sort of get my skirt out of the way. Okay, just enough so that I could just easily get on my bike and ride to work. And so I would ride my bike to work. Maybe it looked a little bit funny, but literally there was nobody out on the streets. And then at the end of my ride, I would just undo my skirt from the ties, and I would be back to wearing my full-length gown. So that was just an easy little fix. So that's just one little hack, and I just love this pattern. So this is one pattern many ways, the Wilder gown. I have lots of patterns that I have made in the past where I have made multiple versions. I love to make the same thing over and over again. I love to experiment with different fabrics and different little details. I love when I get to know a pattern so well that I don't have to think about it too much, and I can kind of just iterate on some of the little minor details and sort of work out fun little hacks and details. Let me know what you think of these 4 patterns. Would you make the Wilder gown? Let me know if you have any questions. And welcome to the Workroom's One Pattern Many Ways series. Hopefully I'll do some more of these, and if you're enjoying this, like and subscribe. We are going to do lots more fun videos here on YouTube, and I would love to have you along with me for the ride. Thank you very much. And this is One Pattern Many Ways. This is version 4. Thank you.